Let's talk about self-hating blacks. Self-hating blacks. That's what I want to talk about today. Self-hating blacks. Black people that hate themselves. So, I mean, by now we've all heard about Kanye West at Paris Fashion Week wearing this infamous White Lives Matter t-shirt with, white supremacist, white validation seeker, herself in the flesh, Candace Owens, whatever. And, I don't even want to come from a place where I'm just giving hate, because there's just so much negative things that I could say, but I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to be negative, but I'm going to speak my mind about these self-hating blacks. It's so offensive when especially more like Fox News, or when they go the blacks. And so I'm using that here for these guys, these self-hating blacks seeking white validation. That is their mission in life. That is what they do. Let's talk about it. So Kanye West, I just feel like with Kanye, it's not even okay, obviously it's offensive, it's disgusting, but with Kanye, it's not even we know that it's a gimmick. We know that he just wants attention and validation. We know all these things. So it's like, let's not even give this guy the time of day. He's just so, I think at this point, I feel like Kanye West is a walking oxymoron for me. When I think about Kanye, I'm like, yes, on one side, he's this creative genius, great businessman, all these things. And then on the other side, his personal life, he's quite disturbed. He's quite troubled, right? And to me, I can separate the two. It's kind of like Chris Brown, when Chris Brown beat Rihanna, or Chris Brown, how he's had all these antics. To an extent, especially in the earlier days when I was younger, I could listen to his music. I could enjoy his music and his artistry. And I didn't care for him necessarily as much as an individual. I could separate those two things. Obviously, as I got older, it kind of then became problematic, and I just was like, I can't support this anymore. I think Kanye is reaching that stage for me. For a lot of this, Kanye's antics, I think when I think about the personal things that he does, going to Donald Trump, crying, calling him his dad, saying, slavery was a choice, all these troubled things that Kanye says, for most of it, I kind of was just like, okay, whatever. And I just focus on his creative side. But I think with this whole antic that he pulled with the whole White Lives Matter, it's becoming for me, I think it's become clear that it's time to just cancel Kanye. And the funny thing is that I know people that have never recovered from him saying slavery was a choice, and they've just literally completely just won't even listen to his music, nothing like that. And I don't blame them. And I think I'm reaching that stage now where I'm just kind of I'm sick of this. Now, yes, of course, this is deplorable. It's disgusting that he would even promote this type of rhetoric just for attention, and Charlemagne said it the best. When it has to do with when he's up, all of a sudden he's when he's up and society loves him and he's successful or whatever, it's all of a sudden it's White Lives Matter. All of a sudden it's he's seeking white validation. All of a sudden is slavery was a choice. But when he's down, when Kim doesn't want him to see his kids or whatever, all of a sudden he remembers that he's a black man in America. All of a sudden he's a black man. It's so funny because we saw those two sides of him in the past 2-3 days, because we've seen him bashing Khloe Kardashian on the internet, talking about her I'm a black man with kids, and then we see another post where he's like, White Lives Matter, and he's promoting this, and I think it's this post here where he pretty much I think he pretty much admits here, I don't know if it's here or where it was, where he pretty much admits that he was doing this for attention. I'm not sure where it is, but he did, like, at some point, or this, oh no, this is not it, because he posts every 5 seconds and he deletes them, so it's hard to find. I think it's this one. But basically, he basically like admits that, maybe it's this: I just want to let everyone know that there was also some fashion this weekend, blah blah blah, just kidding, my tea, the one everyone yeah. So if you read this whole thing, he pretty much is saying that he did this for attention. He did this for attention, and ultimately he got like, everybody forgot that it was fashion week. Everybody's only talking about his thingy, and his plan worked, basically, is what he's saying here. But you can pause it and watch it. And to me, it's just disgusting. You know, to me, it's really just disgusting that he's using a serious conversation, a serious topic, just for attention, and to spew such disturbing language and rhetoric just for attention is really problematic. Now, here's the issue. So I know a lot of people, not a lot, but some people might not understand, why do we have such a big issue with this White Lives Matter? And Diddy put it best. Well, not when he said he supports Kanye, but he put it best when he explained that, yes, of course we know all humans are important. All human lives matter. We get that. But in America and in the world, white lives are not being threatened. That's the idea. White lives are not being threatened. They're not highly incarcerated. They're not suffering. And America has an agenda to put black people in poverty. America has an agenda to kill black people. America has an agenda to incarcerate black people. And not just America, the world. Even black people do it to themselves. But we're not going to talk about that right now. But I'm looking at this as an American slogan. Let's talk about this, right? So that's Diddy's point. So it's not that white lives don't matter. The point is that right now we're paying attention to the fact that black lives we've been consistently told as black people that our lives don't matter. So that's the whole messaging behind Black Lives Matter, to remind everyone that black lives matter. Now, for me, it's the freaking black people that are used as tokens, as pawns, as puppets to push white supremacy. These people are the reason that black lives don't matter. And let me start with this rightist media. Whenever, it's so funny, like, Candace Owens is her own thing. Like, she is a disturbed woman who doesn't understand that she's being used by white supremacy. You know, how do I explain this in the best way? They are using you because they want to prove a point that even a black person understands our rhetoric. When it comes to Candace Owens, when it comes to Kanye, there's another one, there are a few of these like black women or black people that they use to push out white supremacist messages. They use them, and notice how they never own their platform, like Candace or Candace, whatever her name is. She doesn't own her platform. She works for the Daily Wire. She doesn't, like, how can you have a show called that's named after you and you don't own it? That is embarrassing. You have a YouTube channel that's named after you and you don't own the YouTube channel. Is that not modern slavery? So Candace doesn't own her platform that's named after her. And she uses this platform to spew white supremacist speech. And they use her for this because it furthers their narrative that, look, even a black person agrees. So she doesn't realize that she's a pawn, she's a puppet that they're just using. And that is why it's so disturbing. I doubt she even writes the scripts that they put in there. I doubt that she has much control of how the narrative that she pushes. But here is my issue with these self-hating blacks. My issue with them is that they come under the guise of free speech and free thought. But your only agenda is to go against to go against a marginalized group, and let me not even put it like that way. Your only agenda is to go against popular opinion. It's not free thought. It's not new thought. It's just opposition. You're literally mimicking the opposition, but you're showing the opposite of it, right? And then you're trying to position that as free thought. That just tells me that you are a slave, if anything. If you really had free thought, you would tackle the nuances and the complexities of these ideas. But that's not what you do. You just push the narrative of the opposition. You push the opposite, and it's just so disturbing to me because they try to position this as we are outliers. We are free thinkers. No, you're not. You're puppets. You're okay. You're the reason that Black lives don't matter. And that's a big statement. It's a bold statement. But I want to take you guys on a trip down history lane, right? Let's look at history and the inception of white supremacy. How did white supremacy even start in the first place? I made a documentary called The Great Divide, and I go into the history of white supremacy and who created it. It was actually a Portuguese noble who his nephew was the king, sent him off he discovered West Africa. Henry the Navigator discovers West Africa and decides to start selling slaves. But here's the real crux of it. This is what really I need to point out. It was Black people that sold their brothers and sisters into slavery. West Africans, to be specific. I'm Nigerian. These are my ancestors. I specifically have my ancestors were kings of the Benin Empire. Literally, my ancestors were the people that sold Black people into slavery. Literally. And I sit here, not proud, not even ashamed, but I understand the only way to break a generational curse is to share knowledge. And it's not to fall into the trap of our history and not to work as a tool for white supremacy. White supremacy does not exist without Black people upholding it. And why I bring up these Black people that sold our brothers and sisters into slavery. Another reason why I'm not ashamed of it is because I don't take responsibility for other people's actions, especially not my ancestors from 500 years ago. I'm not going to take responsibility for that. But what I will say is my goal with this platform is to break that generational curse, to share knowledge so we can all understand the problems here. So the biggest white supremacists are the Black elites, but not all. I'm not going to summarize, but are the Blacks like the Kanyes, like the Candaces, whatever her name is, and there's another light-skinned girl that they use to spew all this white supremacist ideology, because these people are the ones that betray their own race and sell us into slavery. So when you look at this, it's just history repeating itself. There's nothing new here. They try to act like free thought. We're being different. We're being new. You're not being new. You're just repeating history. You're just selling your brothers and sisters back into slavery. But this is a different type of slavery now. This is mental slavery. This is mental slavery. And so how does this then, okay, so first it was in Africa, West Africa specifically. We sold our brothers and sisters into slavery for gin bottles, umbrellas, ridiculous stuff. Go watch my documentary. I'll put a link down below. The Great Divide. Very important documentary. We sold our brothers and sisters into slavery. Now, these brothers and sisters that were now brought into America, what happened again? There was a further divide and conquer. The house slave, the field slave, the house slave betraying the field slaves, Black on Blacks betraying each other to serve what? White supremacy, the white man. This is why even in every facet of life, there is a little bit of white supremacy in all of us. And it sounds terrible to say it, but you got to look. You have to do a self-screening as a Black person to figure out what's your level of white supremacy. Because all black people have it. All black people have it, some way, shape, or form. There's something that you do, whether it's not supporting your kin in something. You rather put your money into a white-owned business than a black-owned business because you believe the white-owned business has more value. It's not your fault, right? White supremacy is a system that was created 500 years ago, and it's something that we have to unlearn, and we really have to check ourselves. So as we turn to white people and say to white people, hey, check, you guys are racist, check, we need to first self-screen and look for the white supremacy in us. Because if we don't do it, it's harder for us to pinpoint the issues with the Kanye West who are screaming white supremacy. You know, for a lot of people, maybe it's like 1% of you is a white supremacist. Some of you is 5%. I'd say Kanye is right around 90%. I say Candace is 110%. So we have to find out, what is our degree of white supremacy? What degree of us are we promoting white supremacist ideology? And how do we tackle it? And that's how you should phrase it. White supremacist ideology. What degree are we promoting white supremacist ideology? And Kanye West, like I said, I think it's about 90%. Candace, or whatever her name is around 110. And I see her content and I just get so disappointed. Because she has very interesting thumbnails. Or interesting, not thumbnails, but clickbait titles. So you click on it and you're hoping, oh, this time I hope she's going to say something inspiring. But every time you watch it, it's a disappointment, to the effect that I've literally just blocked her from my social. I just don't want to see anything that she posts. No matter what, her agenda is to push white supremacy. And she tries to position it like that's not her agenda, but it's so obvious. Like I said, no level of free thinking. The only agenda is opposition towards not just white supremacists, not white supremacy and white supremacist ideals, but she just wants opposition to the left, whatever it is. And however it is, she will find a way to twist and turn something logical, using logical arguments to push it into this rightist, narrative that is just kind of ridiculous. So Candace Owens is an unfortunate human being who needs therapy, who needs help, because what is so sad to me, these blacks don't understand. These black white supremacists, what they don't understand is you're selling, not only are you a traitor to your race, not only are you selling your soul, but you think that these white people, that's the problem. You think that these white people see you as their equal because you're begging for this white validation. Look, in Kanye's case, I'm rich, I'm a billionaire, I'm like you guys, accept me. But you're never going to be accepted. With Candace, it's like, look, I'm better than these other blacks. I agree with you in your mentality. They will never accept you. And the sad thing is, this is when you're up. You come and you spew this white supremacist ideology, but when you're down, you're looking for black sympathy. And we have no sympathy for you. You see, the problem with Candace, and she's the epitome of a black white supremacist who pushes white supremacy in the world. When they're finished using you, because they're just using you because you're like a car crash. People get to watch you spew all this hate on black people and the left. They're like, oh, look, even a black person agrees. But when they're done with you, what do you think they're going to do with you? Do you think they're going to support you? When there's a younger, prettier girl that has the same ideology, they'll just exchange you. They don't care about you. There's no severance package. You don't even own the platform that is named after you. They'll use you and discard you. And then you're going to be looking for sympathy. You're going to be looking for the blacks that you hate so much to support you. And we're going to be nowhere to be found. Because look for the white. Make sure you harness those relationships with those whites that you want their validation so bad. Make sure you do that, because they're the only ones that can save you, and they won't. And that's the sad truth. That's the sad truth. This is just really upsetting. But let me keep going about the degree to which Kanye West hates black people. You know, there's a pattern with him. We've seen him. So recently, he bullied an editor of Vogue, this black woman. Her name is Gabrielle. And everybody has gone to her defense. Everybody has supported her because she called his collection trash. I mean, look, she's an editor in Vogue and she's just not impressed. So this is why I think she posted this on her stories, insulting his collection, and he just wasn't having it. So he came after her, attacking her, and then said her the clothes that she's wearing is trash. Just like super high school, super high. So he's like making fun. He posted this, making fun of her outfit, obviously. But the thing is, there's a pattern with Kanye. There's a pattern with Kanye, and you know what? I'm going to show you that pattern. The way Kanye sees black women. And this is from his rally back in when he was doing the rally that everybody said Donald Trump was funding it so he could like stare away black votes from Biden. So this is his campaign, and he had this rally and this black girl was there. And look at her testimony on Kanye West.
Hey y'all, it's Aisha, the girl who was getting yelled at by Kanye at the Kanye West rally today in North Charleston.
You ain't looking guys there to me at TMC. Do you want to be that same person? And your face is covered so we don't even know who you are.
He allowed people to come on stage to ask questions. I was one of those people selected. We went up there. He let numerous people go before me. And at the last 5 minutes, he allowed me to ask my question on gun reform, in which he did not answer. He just spewed out random facts and bragged about himself.
Communities are disproportionately affected by gun violence.
Okay. Her Aisha's comment is on gun violence in the United States. I live on a 4,000 acre ranch, and I can shoot AR-15s all day, facts, without going to jail. And it feels weird because I grew up in Chicago.
And then after that, he started to go on a rant, and he started saying very incorrect facts to his crowd, and I kept interrupting him and shouting over him the correct facts, because he has a large platform and he shouldn't be saying incorrect things to people who look up to him. And then he stopped. He put the spotlight on me, and then he interrogated me in front of everyone for interrupting him, even though 5 minutes earlier a white girl did the same thing, and he caught her on stage, gave her a hug and everything.
How do you feel at the end of the interview?
I feel fine. I feel fine.
And basically, once he kicked me off of stage after that, he then called me a sister soldier. And then he continued to say I wanted Wakanda, not America. And he kind of just talked badly about black women. So please don't vote for Kanye West, because he's just not qualified, y'all. And he just ain't it.
So there you have it. This is a man doesn't like black women either. You know, he comes after black women. So, of course, he came after Gabby. She's, one of the most important voices in fashion right now. She's young. I've actually met her back in my college days. And I remember she has a great personality, very bubbly, very fun. And yeah, so I was not surprised to see him attack her, because she doesn't fit into the type of woman that Kanye wants to glorify, which is white. And that's just literally it. White. And you see the warmth that you saw him when he hugged the white woman. And at best, perhaps someone that's light-skinned or fitting more of a Eurocentric, ideology with Candace or whatever her name is, or European looks or whatever it is, you'll see him promote that. And the irony to me is he's blacker than anybody. So it just screams self-hating it screams self-hatred. And then you saw other people coming for him, like Hailey Bieber, Gigi Hadid, and he goes bullying them, you know. So there's so many layers when it comes to Kanye West. Like I said, he's a walking oxymoron. We know that he's self-hating. He's always seeking white validation. And I think we just have to be very careful with the media that we consume and allow ourselves to consume. And just understand, I just rest my case, and I want to go back to the point that these people only care about pushing this narrative that's just in opposition to mainstream narratives. There's no free thinking there. There's no creativity in thought. It's just about, what can I say to upset the mainstream and get attention? Kanye has admitted that that's what he was doing. Basically, in other words, that was his agenda here, getting the attention. And Candace, I mean, again, she's a puppet. She doesn't have any control over the content that she creates. She just, I'm sure they just write the script and she says, yes, master, yes, master, yes, master. These people, just very unfortunate individuals, and just be careful, beware of white supremacist blacks, right? And more importantly, monitor yourself and self-diagnose your level of white, or your degree of white supremacy, because we all have a little bit of it in us. So we all have to find a way to unlearn it. And why do we all have a little bit of it in us? Go back and understand the history of capitalism and how it was built with white supremacy. So in the society that we live in, white supremacy is the standard, and how we conduct ourselves. And so we just have to learn our history, number one, and then now start understanding the levels of white supremacy, the degrees of white supremacy in us. Anyway, those are my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts. Leave a comment down below. I know it's been a while since I've been here. This is season 2 of the Kenim O Show. You're watching season 2 of the Kenim O Show. And guys, I'm going to try and put out as much content as possible as I can. But I have a lot going on. I have 2 other channels. I have Brand Video Pro, where I talk exclusively about the business and craftsmanship of the entertainment industry, media and entertainment. Then I have Stream OVG, or OVG. I'm going to put all the links down below, but OVG is more about Nigerian politics. And I'm following the Nigerian election, so definitely go check that out. And actually, my documentary on white supremacy, or the history of white supremacy, is actually on that channel. And then on this channel, again, it's about relationships, it's about culture, it's about all these dynamics that I've discussed today. So make sure you stay tuned. But Brand Video Pro, I post Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Stream OVG, I post Tuesdays and Thursdays. And on this channel, I'm just going to post as often as I can. And guys, just stay tuned. All right, thanks for watching, and see you next time. Peace. End stream.